Taking an overpriced listing is one of the most expensive mistakes you will ever make as a real estate agent. Not because of the commission, but because of your time and your reputation. Your mental energy is a factor as well, but ultimately it's your time and your reputation. And an overpriced listing that sits on the market for 90 days slowly drains everything you've built. Today, I'm going to show you how to have the pricing conversation sellers don't want to hear and still walk away securing the listing. If you want to work on your listing presentation and your pricing confidence, book a free call with me. Go to the Calendly link below, book your time, or DM me at PK Residential on Instagram or Facebook. Let's build the confidence that you need to have this conversation every time. And here's why agents take overpriced listings. Do you know what it is? It's fear. Fear of losing the listing to a competition. Fear of having the uncomfortable conversation. Fear of saying a number that the seller doesn't want to hear or isn't happy with. It's fear that holds agents back from having the real conversation about the price and for taking overpriced listings. So instead, agents just go along, they take the listing at an inflated price, they tell themselves they'll have the price reduction conversation later, and then later comes 30, 45, 60 days on market, and now everyone's frustrated. The seller blames you. Buyers think something's wrong with the house, and you have wasted weeks of your life and your funds marketing a home that was never priced to sell. And the market doesn't care what the seller thinks their home is worth. Buyers decide the value, and the property needs to appraise. And your job is to help sellers understand that before you take the listing. So I want to share a real situation that I walked into. I had a seller who had his home listed, and actually he had been approached by other agents before me. And those agents told him he could get a price that was $250,000 above true market value. Not a little, $250,000 above where the actual market value was. Why? Because those agents wanted to secure the listing. They told him what they wanted to hear instead of saying what he needed to hear. So I sat down with him, I shared my screen, we were on a Zoom call, and I walked him through every comparable sale. I showed him exactly where his value lied with the comparable sales and the data to back it. I showed him the photos, the condition, the square footage, the days on market, the final price of homes that were similar to his, and I showed him the data in a way that made the story undeniable. So he said something I'll never forget. He said, "Nobody has shown me this before. It seemed like everyone was just saying what I wanted to hear." And you know what we did? We listed the home $250,000 less than what he originally thought he could get based on these agents inflating the price and inflating his head of where he thought where the value actually was. And we sold it in 3 weeks. He was grateful. And because he understood exactly where the value was coming from and how an appraiser was going to see it. So that transparency builds more trust than false promises ever will. To have to take price improvements down the road because you didn't have the courage to tell them what the true price was because you were scared you were going to lose a listing, that ruins trust, that ruins your reputation, that ruins your chance of ever getting future business from this person who likely knows 4 other people in their network that are going to buy or sell this next year. And you just lost that opportunity because you were fearful. Now you have an overpriced listing, and now you look like an agent who doesn't know how to market or sell a listing, and potentially that listing never even sells. So step 1, I want you to set the stage before you even talk numbers. Don't just walk into the listing appointment and lead with your pricing recommendations. You got to build trust first. You need to ask questions, understand what the seller is hoping to net, and where they're going to go, where are they moving to, what are they going to use the funds for, what their timeline looks like. When sellers feel heard, they are so much more open to hearing your perspective. If they feel understood about what their goals are, they're going to listen to you, they're going to trust your opinion, and they're actually going to look at the data. If you don't, they're going to try to turn away, ignore the data, say, hey, this is the number I want, I know the value of my home. But if you line it up well and you get them comfortable, you'll be able to present the data with confidence and be the advisor and show them exactly how this works and educate them on the fact that the property needs to appraise, and that if you go above market value, buyers aren't even going to look at your home. They're not going to tour the property. So say something like, before I walk you through what I put together, I want to make sure I fully understand your goals. Can you tell me, what prompted you to think about selling? Where are you going? Are you utilizing these funds for something else? What's the plan after this? And then listen, you take your notes, You're going to reflect their answers back to them by repeating what they shared with you. And then and only then, once they feel like you understand them and their goals and you have the best understanding of what they're planning to do, then you're going to move into the data and you're going to show the data. So here's how most agents present comps. They hand over a sheet of numbers and they hope that the seller understands what they're looking at. That doesn't work. They're not in our business 24/7. They're not full-time in real estate like we are. That's why we're there. If they understood all the stats, they wouldn't be hiring us. So you have to walk them through it and you need to simplify it out loud. On your screen, if it's possible. I love pulling up my computer to be able to show them the photos and things, but if it has to be on paper in person, you'll point to the different numbers, highlight certain things, circle certain things. That's how I do it. So you're gonna show them 3 to 5 comparable sales. If there's more that are extremely relevant, utilize them and narrate each one. Say, hey, this home sold for $1,020,000 and here's why. And this one sold for 1.2 and here's the difference. It has a casita. It has extra 1,000 square feet, tiny home in the back. So that's the difference between your home and this comparable sale. Then you're going to say, based on everything here and what the market shows, your home competes most closely with these two. And you're going to show them the two and you're going to say, hey, but yours differs because you do have a view, but you also have one less bedroom and you have about 200 square feet less livable space. And so based on this data and based on the average price per square foot and then accounting for the views, here's what the market data is showing that your home value sits at. The market data shows the value of your home is $1,075,000. And the list price that I suggest is blank, to get the most amount of eyes on it, to get you top dollar for the home and ensure you don't have to take price improvements to do that. So be specific, be confident, and be ready for the silence that follows, because you're going to point out all these things. They're not going to know what to say right away because this is all new information for them. But don't fill that silence with backpedaling or saying, well, but we could do this, or what, we could try this, or anything like that. Just let it breathe. Let the silence be what it is. They're processing what you're sharing with them, and as they should, because they hired you to provide this insight and this intel, and the data will speak for itself when you present it clearly. You're not giving any opinions. You're just saying, based on the market data, based on the comparable sales, the value of your home is blank. And based on this information, I suggest we list at blank. So write this down. This move changes the entire conversation. Instead of arguing about the price, redirect to what they're actually going to walk away with. So sometimes they focus so much on the price, but show a seller the true estimated net proceeds at that price point. Say, hey, at $1,075,000, here's what your net is after all expenses are paid out. This is a dollar amount, which will change a little bit based on taxes and closing date and any HOA prorations. But approximately, this is what your estimated proceeds is going to be. You could circle the number, you could highlight it, whatever the case is. Here's what you net. What are your thoughts on that? And then see what they have to say. My strategy is always pricing right at market value or just slightly below it. Because if you price it correctly like that, you're going to have high demand, which builds leverage when you're negotiating because you have other buyers interested. So you can leverage that to get strong offers, to get strong terms, to find the confident buyer and bid the price up, or get better terms to get them top dollar for their home. Because if you price a little bit over market value, you're going to sit on the market. They have mortgage payments, holding costs, all of that gets factored in, and it should be factored into their estimated net proceeds if they were to list higher, because those are expenses to them. So you want to be priced at market value or slightly under. This is what's going to make the home sale process go that much smoother. They're going to feel happy, less stressed. They're not going to have to worry about price improvements, and you're going to be able to negotiate and have more leverage during the negotiations. So now the conversation's about their life and their move and the next chapter, and that's a conversation you can win because you set them up for success and a good understanding, and you actually left them better than you found them because you educated them on the market and the proper marketing value and what an appraiser is going to value it at. Because if the property doesn't appraise, the only other buyer you have is cash, and cash buyers are a limited buyer pool, and that doesn't create the demand that you need to get them top dollar. And then get a commitment up front. Sometimes sellers still push back, and here's what you want to do. If they push back on the price, offer a clear agreement before you sign. Say, hey, I respect where you're coming from. Let's list at blank. Try to compromise. Meet them in the middle. If it's so far off, don't take the listing. Obviously, we talked about that. Don't take an overpriced listing. It's going to ruin your reputation, and you need to have these conversations. So, hey, if we go on at this price, which if it's a compromise, then say, if we don't have a strong offer by the 21-day mark, I need your commitment right now that we will make a price adjustment. Are you willing to do that? And if so, get them to agree in the moment. Have that agreement in place that you have in writing on the listing agreement, so that when that 21 days comes, when there's no offers, you don't have to fight. They already committed. It automatically reduces to whatever the price was that you're planning on. This isn't giving in. This is your last resort. This is your worst case scenario. If they're adamant on their pricing and you're comfortable with that little increase, that hopefully it's a little increase that they're suggesting. If it's too far off, don't take it. But if you can meet them somewhere in the middle that you're comfortable with, and that if the seller's willing to reduce in 21 days, then great. But get that agreement in writing. Get that on your listing agreement. This is not giving in. It's strategic. You'll get the listing. They feel heard, and then they can feel comfortable that they didn't leave any dollar on the table. And that's how they feel comfortable finally selling and reducing the price at that 21-day mark to the price that you suggested that's true market value. And then you have the path already mapped out moving forward. So sellers will refer back to Zillow or Redfin and say, hey, but Zillow or Redfin says my value is 1.15. And here's your response to that. Zillow and Redfin are tech platforms, and their values are based on algorithms that's built on public data. It doesn't know that your neighbor's home was fully renovated or that the one 2 doors down had foundation issues. I know this market. I've walked these homes. We've just walked through the homes and the photos that I showed you. The data I'm showing you is based on actual buyer behavior and actual sales in your area, not an algorithm. And buyers are using real comparable sales, not Zillow. Nobody's pulling up Zillow comps. They're pulling up the actual data from when the property sold. So say that calmly, say it confidently, then bring it right back into the net sheet or the estimated proceeds. Overpriced listings will drain your energy, your time, and your reputation. And the only way to avoid them is to have the hard conversation with data and confidence up front. And you should feel so confident in this because it's the data. It's not you telling them their price isn't worth it. It's the market showing them. The neighbors' homes that have sold for blank that are way nicer than theirs, that sold for higher, and theirs does not compare to that. So why would it be the same price? So you're letting the data do the talking, but you want to set the stage, walk them through the comparable sales on the screen or on your paper documents that you bring in, show them the estimated net proceeds based on the list price that you suggest, given the market data and the comparable sales, and get the commitment up front if they won't budge and you compromise in the middle, and have it be in a listing agreement. You have the tools, so use it every time. And if this is an area that you want to work on, pricing confidence, listing presentation, the seller conversations, this is what I love. I love the hard conversations of what most agents think are difficult because the data's there. It's not biased. It's not my opinion. It's the facts. It's the figures. It's black and white on the data. And I do one-on-one coaching designed specifically for agents ready to level up, who want to scale their business, who want to step into listing specialists. So book your free call on my link below on the Calendly link. The link's in the description, or DM me listings on Instagram or Facebook @PK Residential, and let's talk strategy.